Okay, one thing I forgot is that on my other phone that I have the part 1 reaction of Mansfield part and the 1999 version has the intro for that at the beginning of the video, so I want to make one here. So as you all know, I am filming my reaction to Mansfield Park, but the two versions of it, which is the 1999 version of Mansfield Park and the 2007 version of it. So I really hope you guys are interested in seeing both parts. As you can tell, I am doing a separate video for part 2 of it, me reacting and, you know, voicing my opinions and stuff of the 2007 version of Mansfield Park, and I hope you guys love it. And as you can tell, that the makeup and hairstyle I did this morning of the starting of this video is already wearing out and stuff. So I guess that's it for the intro. But yeah, hope you guys love it. Bye.
This is Mariah, and if I were to teach you nothing, still you would learn to be good and clever from her. Julia, Tom, and Edmund.
How do you do?
Come meet your Uncle Sir Thomas and your Aunt Lady Bertram.
John must be tired after.
I missed my noisy, merry brothers and sisters and the rough and tumble of my own home. No one meant to be unkind, but I was the poor relation, and I was often made to feel it. Only Edmund put himself out to secure my happiness. He became my one true friend. And as the years passed, I came to love him as more than a cousin.
Edmund? I'm to leave Mansfield for so long, but it cannot be avoided. Our affairs in the West Indies do not prosper. I expect you to behave with proper decorum while I'm away. Of you, Mariah, I ask only that your marriage to Mr. Rushworth should not take place before my return.
Then your return cannot be too soon for me, Sir Thomas.
Julia, I give you over to your Aunt Norris' care, Edmund. I believe I may trust you to your own judgment.
But you did.
Tom, here is a chance to prove yourself.
Summer, and I had never been happier.
I thought Aunt Norris was never going to let me out.
How did you get away?
I told her I had a very tedious errand from my cousin.
I forgot. Pick this for you. I'll let it be.
Luckily for him, he has.
I've had a letter from my brother Tom. He's staying on in town. It's turned into one long party. I'm left to deal with everything.
Oh, I think it suits you very well. Besides, it's not all work. And I know this doesn't count. But I was never happier.
I'll race you.
Come on!
In my innocence, I imagined I would be happy always. Then with the sudden brilliance of lightning,
Aww.
fresh from the pleasures of London's fashionable
Mary and
society,
Henry
Mary
Crawford.
Crawford and her brother Henry arrived in our lives. Life at Mansfield Park would never be the same again.
What fine names
Yeah, that way.
Not here to greet you, Miss Crawford.
Your eldest son is not with you, Lady Bertram?
Since his father has been gone, Tom prefers London or Newmarket to Mansfield.
I do feel for you, Lady Bertram.
Has Sir Thomas encountered difficulties in Antigua?
It is, I believe, extremely hot.
The circumstances in the West Indies are much less favourable than before, Mr. Crawford.
I did not at all like to have Sir Thomas leave me, but I have been astonished at how well Edmund supplies his place in carving, in settling with the servants. I take his advice in everything.
Well, then perhaps Mr. Bertram may advise me.
How might I advise you?
Anyone for more lemonade?
Our one disadvantage, Miss Crawford, is that Mariah's wedding has to wait until after Christmas for our father's return. January is a very disagreeable month in which to marry.
It is surely the most difficult month in which to make such a long sea voyage. Though I have taken certain measures to spare Lady Bertram the worst, by ensuring that I am the first person to be acquainted with any fatal catastrophe.
My stepfather, the Admiral, ma'am, once made a winter crossing in such mild weather.
Come, Edmund. You must surely fancy a little chapel. Why in heaven would Mr. Bertram want a chapel? Does he enjoy forcing ladies out of their bed early in order to kneel on a stone floor? Especially unpleasant if the poor chaplain isn't worth looking at.
I am shortly to be ordained as a clergyman, Miss Crawford.
Well, then you must forgive my pleasantries, Mr. Bertram. I did not know.
Miss Crawford has been telling me why they're here. My dear, they're not here for the view. The fact is, she cannot possibly go back to the London house of their stepfather. A week ago, the Admiral installed his mistress under his own family roof.
Well, I'm not at all surprised. Well, I have the highest regard for the Navy.
Fanny, what's your opinion of Miss Crawford?
She has every virtue, a fortune, and a pretty face. Stone in my shoe. But Edmund, does she truly hate to pray? Does she really believe everything can be got with money?
I think Miss Crawford talks to amuse rather than anything else. And Fanny, are you riding tomorrow?
Yeah.
Then I'll have the mare saddled up half an hour early. Miss Crawford wants to learn, and Jenny is much our quietest horse. You won't be inconvenienced. This acting scheme gets worse and worse. They're going to ask an outsider, a complete stranger, to play Anholt.
And what can you do? Tom's so determined.
There's only one thing. I must play Anholt myself. Well, can you think of an alternative?
You said nothing would induce you.
I know. Do you imagine I like being driven to be so inconsistent? It can't be right to let Tom go trawling the countryside for anyone who can be persuaded to take part, no matter who.
No, it can't.
Then give me your blessing, Fanny. If you're not with me, I mistrust my own judgment.
I do see it's not right for Miss Crawford to act with a stranger.
Right, you're right. She must be spared. Dear Fanny, I couldn't be easy until I'd spoken to you.
Was perhaps accepted on too short an acquaintance. I went away. What an advantageous life.
Mary? Well, how is young Bertram? I scarcely spoke a word to him all day.
Edmund is as ever Edmund was, determined on obscurity. He will not change his mind. He's soon to be ordained. His living will be 700 a year.
Oh, well, I'm glad he'll be so well off. A very pretty income to make ducks and drakes with.
You would look rather blank, Henry, if you were limited to 700 a year.
Perhaps, but all that is comparative.
Exactly.
And then, until we came here, I never imagined we could.
Is it possible to be so happy?
Yes. Let's make it our business, Mrs. Bertram, to be happy ever after.
Hey guys, this is take 3 of me redoing the reaction part for part 2 of Mansfield Park, the 2007 version. I already did my take 2 part one of Mansfield Part 1999 version of my reaction and stuff on there. So now I'm gonna do my reaction for the 2007 version of Mansfield Part. So here it goes. So of course I mentioned in the previous video, I hope I mentioned it in the previous video, that both Bertram family characters and Fanny Price characters in the 2007 version and the 1999 version of Mansfield Park are very sort of similar, but their behavior and stuff are different. But of course it's sort of almost the same and stuff. But as we see Fanny at 10 years old coming to her uncles and aunts place to go live with them and her cousins and her Aunt Nora's, because her mom wasn't able to take care of her anymore. So she goes there, and of course we see her meeting her Aunt Nora's and her cousins and her Aunt Lady Bertram and her uncle Sir Thomas. And of course, out of her 4 cousins, Edmund's the only one that has ever been nice to her in the beginning. And Sir Thomas asked him to give her a slice of tartar pie. I believe it's a tartar pie. And when he was about to give Fanny that, Fanny started to cry and ran away. And of course, at this point, Sir Thomas I think it was Sir Thomas or Mrs. Norris saying that this is not a good beginning or upbringing or whatever. And I was like, how's that? This girl's life was flipped upside down. It's not gonna be good. She's not gonna make it a good beginning for you guys when she gets there. That's what I was thinking. And then after that, we hear the adult Fanny's voiceover of how she saw her life was growing, and she said that she was saying that, she didn't say what I'm saying now, but she was saying that while her entire life growing up in Mansfield Park, the only real friend she had at there was Edmund. And of course, their usual thing was playing badminton and stuff. I love that. I love how they're playing badminton together and stuff, and even when they're as adults. But when we see them as an adult, Fanny's still at 17 at this point. And of course, we see them go to whatever room they were in, like in the music room or whatever, library room or whatever, to meet the Crawford siblings. And of course, they were different from the Crawford siblings in the 1999 version, but still acting the same a little bit. And we see what's happening, and the entire time, he's supposed to make eyes with Julia, but instead he makes eyes with Mariah. And of course, the fiance does not have a clue what's happening. And then we see Mary and Edmund talking and stuff. And of course, at this point, Fanny did not know what was going to happen between them and stuff but when they came into the Bertram's life, it kind of changes things. They end up having a play and stuff and whatnot. And then we see to the point where Edmund tells Fanny that if she's okay with them having their horseback riding sessions an hour early or whatever, or hour early or hour after him and Mary's own, because he was teaching Mary, but apparently he forgot and he was late. And of course, he kind of upset Fanny like that. And I don't think he believes that Fanny will forgive him for doing that. But of course, him expecting her to forgive him for that, she doesn't say anything about it. But then we see down the line where Mariah and Mr. Rushford gets married, Julia goes with them, and of course at this point, now Henry has no intentions of trying to get between them at this point. And he hears Fanny playing with, I think, with her niece or something, or with her niece or her cousin or her, I don't know who the little girl was. And he decided that he's gonna try to make Fanny fall in love with him, and he tells that to Mary, and he asks Mary to help him out. And at this point, I didn't like what was happening because his true intentions to Fanny was not real, and it wasn't like, you know, like a good intention of it. And Fanny already knew that. And then we see William, because in the 1999 version, there was no William. If there was a William, then they did not have no one playing him in there. And so we see William, Fanny's brother, come in from the carriage, but before the carriage stopped, he jumped off, like any brother would who excited to see their little sister, jumps off and says, "Fanny, my dear sister, I miss you." Oh my gosh, I love how their reacquaintance was, like how their reunion was. Like, he was so happy to see his little sister, and she was so happy to see her big brother, and they hugged. And we see them like sitting on this little hill by the creek or lake or whatever you call that pond, and they're talking about how much they miss each other. And they spoke about Edmund, and of course it's so cute, like any big brother would ask their sister or tell their sister that William told her that he kind of hoped that Edmund didn't take his place in her life. And of course Fanny like reassures him that her relationship with Edmund changed into something different than how cousin relationship is so supposed to be, but he could never take her big brother's place in her life, which was so sweet. And she loved the early birthday gift that William gave her, which was that gold cross. I think it's gold, and oh my gosh, it's a beautiful cross. And then we see William acting out what happened on the ship or something to his uncle, aunts, and the others with whatever was in front of him on the table. And then he talks to Mr. Crawford, because I think at this point Henry is trying to like impress Fanny that he's interested in what her brother has to say. And then the next day we see William and Fanny enter the room, and oh my gosh, it was so cute because I have never seen a brother-sister dynamic like that, where the older brother would have his little sister's arm around his arm while he's doing this. And they come in, enter, and they curtsy or bow. I think that's the thing that happens in the 19th century. I don't know if that still happens now with the royal people and stuff. But they talk to Sir Thomas and stuff, and William mentions that he has 2 more days in Mansfield Park, and he said that tomorrow is Fanny's birthday and they want to do a celebration for her. He wanted to do something for her, and of course Sir Thomas brings up that they should throw a ball or whatever for Fanny's birthday. And of course Fanny couldn't pick how to like whatever and stuff, but she asked Sir Thomas if they can do the occasion for her 18th birthday, the last birthday she had with her brother William, which was a picnic. And of course I think Sir Thomas didn't like that idea. Like, I think he wanted something else for her birthday occasion, but he went ahead and said, okay, let's have a picnic then. And Fanny kisses him on the cheek and said thank you. And of course at this point Mrs. Norris did not like that. Like, she had to remind Fanny that even though they're having a picnic for her birthday, that she should remember that she should be the low of the lowest when it comes to these people, because they're, they're rich, wealthy and stuff. But I love how she has to come back for everything and stuff when, she picks the right moments to have it with her aunt. And so we see her birthday, and we see them playing like a little game where whoever has the blindfold on, that they say, okay, 1, 2, 3, go, and the person with the blindfold had to like try to like catch someone and stuff too. And once they catch that person in their grip or whatever, they had to tell who it is. And of course Edmund was the first person, and no matter how many times he tried, he thought he was gonna get married in his but instead he got Fanny. And of course at this point he didn't know it was Fanny until he felt the cross on her neck, and he said it's Fanny and stuff. And then they did the same thing with Fanny. Fanny got Master Eames, and that's what his name is. And then finally we see them do this, like, then we see William doing his dance, and then after that we see everyone do this like figure 8 dance in a way. And then but the one thing I did love about her birthday, before her birthday happened, was that Edmund gave her this like gold chain necklace to match, to go with her cross. And I love how that's why she wanted to wear it, because she's wearing something that both her favorite men gave her from her brother and from her cousin. And then we see Fanny and Henry getting closer, because the uncle thought that leaving her alone in Mansfield Park for 3 weeks would do her good, to remind her that she should accept Henry's proposal, but that didn't actually really work, because when they came back, she finds out that her cousin Thomas is fatally ill, and she had to like be by Lady Bertram's side. And as days pass by, hoping that Thomas gets better, Mary comes in and they find out what happened between Henry and Mariah and what they did. But then Mary mentions that they should move on and don't have to think about it or whatever, and that they should plan parties and stuff, and of course, and also welcoming Mariah back with welcome arms and society and stuff. And Julia's at their cousin in Richardson or something. And of course, at this point, Emma did not like what Mary had to say afterwards, because he tells her that he can't believe what she's saying. And of course, at this point, we stop seeing them talking, and we find Fanny hearing someone coming in from the next door, because from Lady Bertram and Sir Thomas's room, I think it's a library or whatever, and she sees Edmund really looking so upset and stuff, and she goes hug him and whatnot. And then the next day, we see her bringing in water and stuff for Thomas, and Edmund wakes up, and and then Thomas requested that Fanny reads to him this time, because she probably has a soothing voice when she reads. And Edmund tells her to be careful, because his cubby or whatever is making him whatever. And Thomas had to explain that seeing a pretty girl's looks or whatever is refreshing him at this point. And then he tells Edmund that Fanny is the best girl out there. And of course, when Fanny starts reading, we see Edmund stop in front of the door and looks at Fanny, but then leaves. And then finally, once Thomas felt really more better, we see Thomas and Edmund and Lady Bertram and Fanny in this room. I think it's the same room they were in. And Edmund and Thomas, and I think Fanny was reading a book, and Lady Bertram was like sewing something. I don't know what was that circle thingy she was sewing, but she asked Fanny which color thread that she should use, maroon or purple. Sorry, I needed to do that. Fanny said purple, and of course Edmund was looking at the direction when Lady Bertram asked her that question, but when he looked back down to his book, he ends up having like an epiphany or something. He realizes something, and he looks back at Fanny, and for some reason something was going through his mind, that he kept like, his eyes kept getting bigger in his reaction. And then he realizes his feelings for Fanny were real and in a different way. And without looking at his mother's direction, Lady Bertram gives a smile and looking at him, like she probably knew that if she asked that, Edmund was gonna realize it. And then finally, later that night, we see Edmund going to Fanny's bedroom, and Of course, he didn't know she was washing her hair, but she was wearing her nightgown. She was decent, but he didn't think she was at this point. And she said, oh, sorry, but then he did see that she was decent, and Fanny said, no, it's okay, come in. And she asked Edmund what he wanted to talk about, and he couldn't think of what he was going to talk to her about. And she brings up about the horseback riding lessons, and he's like, oh yeah, that, and he talks about it. And then Fanny said that, Edmund, I really do have to go to bed. And he said, oh yeah, sorry. And then he looks at Fanny's bed for some reason, but we all know why. And he tells Fanny that I love, but I think he would just say you to Fanny, but instead he said, I love this. I have always loved this bedroom. And then he leaves the room, and Fanny is here, like, she starts smiling, and she covers her face with her towel, and she starts giggling. And then the next day, we see her running down the hallway, chasing after Lady Bertram's pug. And then we see, when she goes down the stairs, she stops a little bit, and we see Edmund come out of his room and said, Fanny, we do need to talk. And of course, she looks at him, smiles, and then goes back down, and we see her chasing after Lady Bertram's pug again down the hallway, going to the dining room. I think that's the dining room. And finally, when the pug ran to Lady Bertram, and Lady Bertram took him or her, I don't know if that dog's a boy or girl, and so she stops, and then Fanny sees Edmund running closer to her, but stops a little bit, and of course, he looks at Fanny like they do really need to talk and stuff, but instead she smiles on, like, he making the suspense more. And she enters the room, and at this point, Lady Bertram is eating whatever she was eating, drinking tea, and Sir Thomas is going through the newspaper, and then we see the two sitting across from each other. Edmund's next to his mom, Fanny's next to her uncle, and of course, the entire time, the parents are doing whatever they're doing. One of the servants poured Fanny some tea, and while Fanny is busy doing whatever she was doing with her tea and stuff, we see Edmund like taking a sip of his tea. I think he's drinking tea, or I think they're drinking juice or whatever, and he looks at Fanny, and of course, that's his first expression. Fanny finally looks up, and his expression looks so happy, but it's like, we really do need to talk. And then she looks back down, smiling, still sipping her tea, and we see at this point, Lady Bertram is looking at them, making googly eyes with each other, not saying anything or whatever, and the uncle still flipping through the pages, and at this point, I was like, loving what this Lady Bertram character in this version of Mansfield Park, the 2007 version, she is my favorite. She's like, yeah, like, she was amazing. Like, she knew that she had to do something to get those two alone to finally make their move. She asked Fanny to get her some lavender because she was running out, but I don't think she was actually running out. So as Fanny got up from her seat to go get some more, because she said, yes, Auntie, we see Edmund coming off. Why am I saying he flew off the seat? He stood up from his seat so fast, like, he didn't think no one was not going to hear that or was going to not see his way. And finally, we see the mom stopping him for like a few seconds, asking him to please do find a pair of scissors to go help Fanny get the lavender. He said, okay. He knew that, yeah, that's just her code to say go. But he was stopped halfway by his father, who finally stopped flipping through the newspapers and put it down and reminded Edmund that they had to go out to town to get something or do something. But Lady Bertram stopped that and told him that they don't have to do that right now, not at this moment, and that it could wait like a little bit later. So finally we see Edmund running down the hallway, and then another hallway into a room like there was no tomorrow. I love that part of the movie. And we see him running out to the stairs where the wedges or the grass plant thing was at, and we see him like, I think, jumping off like over 3 steps and whatnot, but finally, like almost, before he got almost close to where Fanny was supposed to pick the lavender out from, she says Edmund. He goes back to her, and of course she's like, your father, and he's like, oh, it's nothing or whatever. And then she's like, the lavender. She was about to go get some lavender, but Edmund grabs her by the wrist, pulls her like, slowly, slightly, gently to him, and kisses her. And then she was shocked that he would do that because he didn't say anything before that. And then he said, I love you. And then he's like, I'm sorry for my blunderness and my blindness and for taking this long to realize it. Well, I don't think he said that part, but he did. And then, please do forgive me. Then they kiss again, and then they did a pet kiss again. And as they were walking up back, I think, into the house, we see Lady Bertram coming to the window, and I think she brought up like the question like, what would Fanny say if Edmund was to ask her for her hand in marriage? And at this point, Sir Thomas didn't know what was happening, what his wife meant by that. And then Lady Bertram tells him that Fanny has been in love with Edmund since she was a little girl. And at this point, he finally realizes why Fanny didn't want to marry Henry, because she was in love with Edmund. And then we finally see the reception, Edmund and Fanny's reception, and the first person to thrill the rise and sing a song was her brother. I love that her brother was at the wedding, and so he thrilled the rise and he said huzzah, and then we see Thomas saying the same thing and throwing the rise, huzzah, and then we also hear the other people going along with them and saying the same thing. And then we see Edmund and Fanny standing next to each other side by side, and he brings Fanny back closer to him, and then after they finally start their like new dance, everyone realizes that and stuff, and the parents realize the two made a new dance together. Of course, if you're that in love, you probably create something new that no one has never seen before and surprise them like that. But the one thing that made me laugh so hard was that, as you see, when the two was coming down their like aisle path where everyone's gonna throw them rice, William wasn't wearing the black hat that looks like a taco shell to me. And then finally, after Edmund and Fanny started their dance, we see William wearing it again, and I'm like, what does he have on? And that goes on for like about 5 minutes into it, and I love that. And the reason why this is my favorite movie is because it's simple, it's elegant, well, to me, and I love how Fanny and Edmund went down the line to finally realize they were meant for each other and stuff. And because of the William Price character, like in this version, we don't see the mom, we don't see any of the other Price's siblings, but just William. And the one thing that so my 3 favorite characters were in the 2007 version of Mansfield Park are Fanny Price, Edmund Bertram, and Thomas Bertram. The others are just like my least favorite, but those are my 3 favorites. On the 1999 version of Mansfield Park, my only favorite character in there, who also plays as Edmund, is Johnny Lee Miller. I think that's his name. I had to search the cast, I didn't know that. And how I got into Mansfield Park, well, the 2007 version and now the 1999 version, was off of TikTok. Like every time I go on TikTok, I always see the clip of Joseph Morgan playing William Price, part of dancing in the movie. And I went to the comment section where sometimes when someone uploads a movie clip or whatever, sometimes they mention what movie or show that is. So I found out that the movie name that Joseph Morgan is dancing to is named Mansfield Park. So that's how I got into that, watching that. And then that's how I also found out about the 1999 version, was I think days later after that. And yeah, I guess that's it all I have to say. I will do a separate video of my favorite shows and my favorite TV shows over the years and my favorite movies over the years in a different video. But for right now, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys love my part 1 reaction and stuff on Mansfield Part 1999 version, and my reaction and stuff here on the 2007 version of Mansfield Park. Hope you guys love both of the reacting videos. I hope I was not too boring or whatever's talking here, and I hope you guys have a happy new year, and I hope you have so many blessings in your New Year's. I hope everyone's happy, and yeah, I guess that's it. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, tap on the notification bell, always be notified, because weekly videos are coming. They're just coming late, but I will eventually upload them once, after, like 2 days after I do it and stuff. But you get the point. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.